Did you ever imagine that one weekend could completely change the conversation around international rugby? Records were shattered, future superstars announced themselves, under pressure teams answered their critics, and suddenly the road to the next Rugby World Cup looks very different. If you thought you already knew who the biggest winners of the weekend were, think again. Because one player just rewrote All Blacks history, another is forcing his way into England's starting team. A debutant may have solved a huge problem for Ireland, and France have sent a warning that should worry every nation in world rugby. Stay with us, because by the end of this video you'll understand why this weekend could be remembered as one of the biggest turning points of the international season. And trust me, what Will Jordan achieved is something rugby fans will be talking about for years. When rugby history is written, moments like these deserve their own chapter. For years, Doug Howlett stood alone as the greatest Test try scorer in All Blacks history. It was a record many believed would survive for a very long time. Then along came Will Jordan, a player who has quietly built a reputation as one of the deadliest finishers the sport has ever seen. Against Italy, Will Jordan didn't just break the record. He smashed through it in unforgettable fashion. Scoring one try would have been enough to equal history. Scoring two would have been enough to own it. But Will Jordan chose to deliver a hat trick. 50 Test tries in just 56 appearances. Those numbers are simply extraordinary. What's even more impressive is how those tries came. None of them were about individual glory. Every score showed brilliant anticipation, outstanding support lines, and perfect timing. His opening try came after relentless kick pressure and intelligent support from Leroy Carter. His second showed exactly why defenders hate playing against him, as he perfectly followed Josh Moorby's break before finishing with ease. Then came the moment everyone will remember. Holding his width patiently, Will Jordan waited for the opportunity. Jordie Barrett spotted the space and delivered a perfectly timed pass. The finish looked simple, but only because Will Jordan makes impossible moments look routine. To make the day even more special, Will Jordan was handed the captain's armband for part of the match. Breaking a legendary record while leading the All Blacks, even briefly, is the kind of afternoon most players can only dream about. From his debut in 2020 until now, Will Jordan has gone from exciting prospect to arguably the first name on New Zealand's team sheet. And honestly, if he continues scoring at this unbelievable rate, who knows how high that record could eventually climb. Meanwhile, across the rugby world, another young star was demanding attention. If anyone still doubted Henry Pollock, they probably don't anymore. Coming off the bench after just over half an hour, Henry Pollock completely changed England's attack. It almost became the Henry Pollock show. 3 tries. Massive carries. Relentless energy. One of the highest meter totals in the entire Test. Every time he touched the ball, something exciting happened. This wasn't some lucky performance either. The signs have been there for weeks. Henry Pollock was already producing match-winning displays for Northampton. He earned Player of the Match in the Premiership final against Exeter Chiefs. Before that, he had dominated against Leicester Tigers in the semi-final. Now he's bringing exactly that confidence onto the international stage. The biggest question surrounding England is no longer whether Henry Pollock is ready. It's how much longer Steve Borthwick can keep him out of the starting 15. Confidence has always been one of Henry Pollock's greatest strengths. When he's playing with freedom, he becomes incredibly difficult to stop. England fans are starting to believe they've found someone who could become one of the faces of English rugby for years to come. Ireland also discovered a reason to smile. Making your Test debut is never easy. But Sean Jansen looked like he belonged from the very first minute. He wasn't trying to produce miracle moments. Instead, he focused on doing the basics brilliantly. Strong carries, solid tackles, high work rate. Then he topped it all off with a deserved try. Sometimes international rugby isn't about flashy highlights. It's about consistency. It's about trust. It's about proving coaches can rely on you. That's exactly what Sean Jansen delivered. Ireland know that several experienced stars are moving closer to the final stages of their international careers. The next Rugby World Cup cycle demands fresh faces. At 27 years old, Sean Jansen arrives at exactly the right time. Of course, Caelan Doris remains Ireland's first-choice number 8. But having someone like Sean Jansen stepping forward gives Ireland something every great team needs: competition and genuine optimism for the future. Then there was France. Before this international bloc, plenty of critics questioned whether this French squad could compete without several established stars. Those doubts didn't last very long. France traveled to Australia and produced a statement performance against the Wallabies. Everything seemed to click. The attacking rhythm, the decision-making, the confidence, the creativity. The partnership between Maxime Lucu, Romain Tamak, and Mathieu Jalibert looked outstanding. Every attack carried purpose. Every phase seemed to stretch Australia's defense. On debut, Aaron Grandadurn-Canang announced himself with 2 tries and showed exactly why French rugby continues producing exciting talent. As the game wore on, France's replacements only increased the pressure. It felt remarkably similar to the rugby that helped France dominate during the Six Nations. The scary part? Several world-class players weren't even involved. Names like Louis Bielbayeri, Thomas Ramos, Antoine Dupont, and Julian Marchand are still waiting to return. That's an intimidating thought for every rival nation. After already pushing the All Blacks despite missing their top 14 finalists, France have now shown their incredible depth. If anyone was planning to write off Fabien Galthi's side, this weekend should have changed their mind completely. And finally, England. This wasn't simply another international fixture. It felt like a season-defining moment. 5 consecutive defeats had created enormous pressure. Did you